Welcome to game number 4, everybody. My name is Mr. Llama. This is a best of 7 between Team Impulse and Team Starcraft 2 Strategy. And wow, iMpKnighter taking 2 games right there after Starcraft 2 Strategy got the 1-0 lead. It is now 2-1 in favor of Impulse with the same exact PvP build from iMpKnighter. And the amazing thing is, Last Marine knew what was coming. He knew the exact build that was coming. He tried to counter it. He built a pylon even to watch for it. He was able to get the vision. He was able to force field his ramp, and I thought for sure that we were going to see a win for Last Marine. And then all of a sudden, iMpKnighter starts ferrying units up to the high ground, just back and forth. Warp Prisms have so much health, he could do that. There's just not really a ton of anti-air damage at that point in the game for Last Marine, for the Protoss army. And so he was able to just ferry constantly all of his units up to the top, go around the force fields, and just overwhelm Last Marine and give iMpKnighter the win right here. So who does SCS send out but SCS.Neeb, the red Terran, who's going to be spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner. And it looks like they've said, you know what, we're not going to try PvP anymore against iMpKnighter. We know that his build is very strong. We don't have anybody who thinks they can counter it. We already had a guy who thought he could counter it. He went out and he did counter it, and it still got crushed. So maybe it's better to just try something else out. And SCS.Neeb, a very good Terran player. I've seen a lot of SCS.Neeb's game. I don't think I've ever casted SCS.Neeb's games, but I have seen a lot of his games where he's taken out a lot of top GM players, stuff like that. So I know he's a quality player, and we'll have to see what exactly he can pull out versus iMpKnighter right here. So yet another TVP. The map is going to be Ohana, and it looks like SCS.Neeb just going for a 1-rax FE, playing around with his supply depot while he waits. A little bit bored at this moment, because when you do a 1-rax FE, you just queue up a few SCVs at that point, and maybe you missed an SCV. Oh, he just likes to get the orbital a little earlier. So a lot of players will take that 17 orbital actually. It's at the 16 SCVs and of course the Marine building. But some players do take it a little earlier right there, such as SCS.Neeb. And so now he's going to be sending out his SCV or leaving it in his base and taking the command center in his base, a little bit safer, as he has not scouted yet and might be a little worried about some sort of proxy 2-gate, something like that, since he knows that iMpKnighter has a lot of all-ins. But it looks like iMpKnighter is going to be going for a 1-gate FE instead. And I mean, this isn't just any 1-gate FE. This is a 1-gate before cybernetic score fast expand. So extremely greedy right here. Is SCS.Neeb going to try and counter this at all? It doesn't look like it. So a lot of times what you will see is if a Terran player gets over there and sees such an aggressive or early 1-base expand, such as if they go for a gateway FE instead of gateway cyber FE, or if they go for gateway or Nexus first, then you'll see Terran players actually like cancel this command center, throw down 3 more barracks, and then just go for like a mass Marine, or I guess they could throw them in their base. Throw down like 2, 3, 4 more barracks, whatever, and then just go for a mass Marine SCV all in, which can be very difficult for the Protoss to handle since they don't really have any stalkers, any sentries out, things like that. At the time. So they'll just have like a couple, like 1 or 2 of them out. But it looks like instead, SCS.Neeb is going to be content with macroing up at home. He's making another orbital, got his extra barracks up right there, and then he's going to be grabbing his gas afterwards. But he's grabbing a double Vespene right here, so I'm wondering if he's going to go for some sort of fast early upgrades, possibly get double engineering bay. He is going to be grabbing 1 tech lab and cancels the tech lab. Did he want a reactor instead? No, I just want to be making Marine, I suppose. So, just going to be making Marine right there. Does not have a bunker, but of course on Ohana it's not as necessary as something like Cloud Kingdom, because you have this ramp right here, so you can kind of, if the stalker pokes up, you can just sit there and attack it and push it back and stuff, so you can try and do a little damage. But is iMpKnighter a little bit too aggressive here, and he loses a free zealot right there, so tries to get up to do a little damage to SCS.Neeb, but SCS.Neeb smartly backing away and is able to secure a free zealot kill. And I mean, every bit counts in these games. When you're at this level, every little bit really does matter. So 2 more gates and a robo being thrown down here for iMpKnighter, and that's the exact response you want at this time, simply because I don't think he got too much scout. Okay, so he did get the scouting information of the orbital. So that's probably what the zealot was used for by iMpKnighter, was to get in and see, is there an orbital command, because I want to know if my opponent's expanded or if he's going for some sort of all-in play. But the real question is there going to be some sort of early aggression play right here? He did not get concussive shells, so he's not able to get that stalker for free. But I'm very curious to see if he's going to be going for any sort of crazy thing. He is pushing out with a few Marines and the Marauder, and that's why he did grab those 3 barracks before anything else. And so it's at least going to force iMpKnighter into a little bit of a scared position. He got some sentries in right there. And iMpKnighter defends well, though, so he's going to have enough units out. And this is the beauty of having the 3 gates down at this time. If you grab them there at that like 32 supply mark after you go for that 1 gate fast expand, you can then get the 2 additional gateways and the robotics facility, have an observer out in time for cloak, as well as have these gateways out to gather enough units in time for some sort of early pressure, such as the Marine Marauders that we saw right there. So Neeb back home is going to be getting a fast +1. Also going for the starport, getting the reactor, and grabbing stim as well. So he did need all of the gas that he was grabbing right there initially, and looks like he forgot 1 guy on gas right there, or possibly just felt he didn't want as much gas. I'd imagine he forgot, or he accidentally didn't put enough guys on, though. But you never know. At this level, it could be anything. And now iMpKnighter's going to be scouting around with this observer. Is he going to go into the base at all? Looks like he's just checking for the 3rd, possibly. Nope. Okay, so he just wants to check on a push-out timing, but I don't know if he saw it. Neeb was actually moving out with a force of his own, and iMpKnighter does not have a ton right here. He's got a few zealots, he's got a few sentries, but Neeb's in a decent position. You have to also remember he does have stim right here, but the medevacs have not yet to join the army, so a couple will be heading over here, I'd imagine, pretty soon as he gets the resources to make them. And Neeb just doing some poking right here, trying to be a little bit annoying, a little bit aggressive, and keep his opponent honest, keep his opponent in a tough spot so he can't simply just, relax and macro up and not do anything. And so here a scan will go down, and what do we have back here? More gateways being added, actually. So are we going to see some sort of 7-gate timing off of this? As Imp is grabbing Storm additionally right here, and I know he's going to have to use this at first for defending against that 10-minute sort of bio ball push with the medevacs. So difficult for Protest players to hold, but he does have Archons already out. He does have Storm already finished. No, he canceled Storm actually. So he wanted to have the resources instead to get the Archons because he knew Storm was going to finish in time for this 10-minute push, or this 10:30 push, you should say, with the medevacs heading over there. So I actually like that choice by iMpKnighter because every unit counts at that point, and having the Archons for the splash is going to be so huge for him. So are we going to see Neeb push up? Is he going to go for any sort of drop, or is he just going to go straight into the main right here? Looks like he's going to first start heading up. Needs to be careful. That is a lot of Zealots and Archons, and if he gets force field on those ramps, he would be in such a bad mood, I should say. He would not have a very good time because that is way too many Zealots and Archons to be engaging up against just like that. So I'd imagine he's going to possibly sneak some units in here to try and pick up a pylon, try and do something like that, or try and catch his opponent outside right here. And we do see he's going to be getting caught right there. Some force fields do go down, able to trap a decent amount of units. And look how many units for Neeb are not attacking. He's finally going to gather them up and head over with them. But will it be in time? He needs to be careful to also save everything that he has right there. So look at that. That 1 medevac does get away. He loses a few more units, and iMpKnighter now going to turn this pressure around. Amazingly able to catch so many of Neeb's units in a terrible position. And just like this, iMpKnighter's going to instantly possibly go for a push. It looks like, yes, he's going to go straight up, trying to push into the main, and look at what beautiful placement of these barracks right here for Neeb, as all of a sudden he's going to create a choke right here. So he says, you know what, iMpKnighter, you want to come to my base? Well, now you have to fight in this tiny little choke up a ramp with all the Zealots, Archons. That's not going to do anything for you. And iMpKnighter knows it as he does head home right here, probably to pick off the factory, which of course, has been landed at the 3rd base to just be annoying. So here we can see that Neeb will get his 3rd base started a little bit sooner thanks to the factory that had to go down there for Neeb. So it's the little things like that that really matter, that really help out. And a free Templar, what was he doing? It's very interesting why a Templar would be down there. So I guess a little bit of a miss-rally or miscue or something like that. And iMpKnighter loses that Templar right there. So game still very, very even. What's it looking like for upgrades at this point? We have the 2-0 to the 1-1. So, I mean, pretty even. Just grabbing the +2 right now. Armor for his infantry is Neeb. And sending this SCV over here. I mean, he's already got his third base right there, so I guess he's just starting to send SCVs to mine. Yep. Okay, so that's just coming from the command center. They're just heading over there to mine. And in the meantime, now we're going to see Neeb starting to push out, looking for an engagement right here against his opponent. And here we're going to see iMpKnighter trying to come in. Neeb backing up, able to avoid one storm right there. He does need to be careful, though, to not get force fielded and lose all of his army there as the Zealots do start to push in. They don't have charge yet. It has yet to complete, so this is definitely going to favor Neeb at the time. Were charge done, that could have definitely been a great fight for iMpKnighter, but it wasn't done, and so now Neeb might be able to actually clean up a lot of this army. Now he's going to start pushing forward. He's going to be able to take out an Archon, take out another Sentry, possibly get a couple more units and start pushing up this ramp if he really wants. A Templar goes down, so Neeb's going to make his way into the natural right here, gets a storm. Now charge is complete, so he's going to have to start kiting all of these Zealots right here. And he really needs to be careful not to overextend. There is a ghost in that army as well, and now he sees Vikings have been added. So 3 ghosts at a time being produced right here, and Vikings, there we go, now being added, and double Colossus production actually. He has 2 robotics facilities. So are we going to see iMpKnighter try and take advantage of the fact that he has Colossus before his opponent really can deal with it at this time, I'd say. But now it looks like we're going to see Neeb actually be able to regroup with enough army to defend. Third base now being taken for both players there, so we are going to see a probe transfer heading over right now, as well as some SCVs making their way over to the third base. So each player has officially grabbed their third base and saturated it, taken hold of it, and still a very even game. As you can see, a few more resources lost right there for iMpKnighter, as Neeb did pick up the advantage in that last fight by, of course, catching his opponent without charge. And I mean, it was just like 10 seconds away. So that right there would have been a huge change in the way that that battle went. But instead, Neeb got the better end of it. So now it looks like iMpKnighter is going to continue with these Colossus. Only making a 4th Colossus though right here. So not using both robotics facilities at this time. And I'm a little curious as to why is that, as he does have the resources to make them. So there we go, just doing 1. And I suppose he doesn't want to make Colossus now. It's possible he felt his opponent saw it too early, and so he simply wanted to get the Vikings started to be produced. As you can see, a couple of Vikings have been added into that army. But even Neeb slacking off on the Vikings as well. So both players kind of, one slacking off on the Colossus, one slacking off on the Vikings, and it's actually making up, it's actually working out for both players, kind of. So now it looks like we're going to see iMpKnighter try and go for a very strong 3-base push right here. This is a very scary army. It is a 2-1 army. However, he is up against 2-2, so he is going to be down an upgrade. He does have 4 Colossus, though, and there's only 3 Vikings to deal with that, and one of them is landed on the ground. You might want to get that guy in the air, I would imagine. So it looks like iMpKnighter going to be going in for a decent concave right there. Nice EMP does go off on those Colossus, so they should be able to go down soon. Snipes as well being used for all those Zealots, and just like that, Neeb is going to be able to push forward and start picking this off. I would imagine as all of the Colossus are going down, yes they will, so all the Colossus do fall right there. Some Marauders stray in from the side, and they're going to be able to clean that up, and Neeb just barely holds on. But nice snipes, nice EMPs right there, and he's able to pick off a decent amount of the army right there for iMpKnighter, who in the meantime has grabbed a 4th base, as both players actually have grabbed a 4th base. So is Neeb going to be heading over? Looks like they had a pause. Is Neeb going to be heading over to pick off this 4th base is the real question, and would iMpKnighter even have enough to defend that army? I'm not exactly sure, especially with all the additional units pouring in. Neeb could definitely sneak in and just go for a quick pick-off if he wanted to and then head back home, but it looks like instead he's content to just kind of sit around, make sure he builds up a nice army, get out a few more Vikings for the Colossus so he can have a better late-game engagement. And High Templar being added into this army, that is the one thing that he really did lack in the last engagement, and that would have been so crucial for him. I know it's hard to gather gas as a Protoss player. I mean, or spend gas, I should say, or have enough gas, because you have to use it on all of your units. But when he was in that last engagement, he simply did not have any Templar whatsoever to really feed back any of the ghosts, to drop storms on any of that army, and so the army just kind of stood right in this little tiny choke area, which would have been great for storms, and he couldn't do anything about it. So more gateways being added on now for iMpKnighter, something that a lot of Protest players really need to start doing. Simply because you just don't have enough production later on in the game, and you don't really think about it until you have that 200 army, and you go and you push out and it gets killed off, and then you start to warp in and you realize, oh wait, I'm only on 7 gateways, and this isn't as good as I thought it was, or I was hoping it would be. So now it looks like Neeb's going to be content with pushing out with this very scary army. Look at how many ghosts he has in that army, and I actually love the decision to have that many ghosts. That's not the ghost, that's the Marines. There's the ghost. So he's got, what, 13 ghosts? And you just don't see that too often. 14 ghosts, 15th on the way. You just don't see that. You see a lot more Marine Marauder composition, but I feel like with all the ghosts, you can just snipe off all the Templar, you can snipe off all the Zealots in front, and then that really allows your army to just go ahead and pick away at his. So it looks like we're going to have an engagement right here. Huge storm does go down right there as Neeb does not quite get out of the way. Now EMPs are finally dropped all over that army, so he's going to be able to start picking away at it, as everything I do believe got EMP'd. A little bit of a blink backward right there, but Neeb with the 3-3 upgrades to the 2-2 of his opponents going to start pushing forward, and iMpKnighter right there might have just lost the game, or I should say Neeb might have just taken the game with beautiful time right there. A nice pullback from that storm. It did hit for a little bit, but he was able to come back and snipe everything, and I mean, or EMP everything, and I mean everything. He got all of the ghosts, or all of the High Templar, excuse me. He got all the Colossus, all the Zealots, all the Stalkers, everything that he needed, and now he's just going to be standing overhead with all of his medevacs, all of his army underneath, and as everything warps in, he just slowly picks it off. Snipes now being used on all of the Zealots from all of his ghosts, and Neeb in such a great position. That's going to be it. GG out of iMpKnighter, and Neeb going to tie the series up 2-2. So I will see you guys over in Game 5 in this best of 7.